Hey, what is going on? I am Will Button, and I'm back with another thrilling episode of What the Hell Are You Doing, Dude? Also known as DevOps for Developers. So this week I've been working on a problem. I've got this application. It's a React web application and a Node.js API server that I moved from a dedicated server over onto Kubernetes. And it presented a really unique troubleshooting opportunity that I thought I would share with you because it's something that you're likely to encounter in the future. So here's the scenario. I moved this thing over, built a new database for it, new Elasticsearch cluster, all that kind of stuff, which meant new usernames, new passwords, blah, 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 blah. Fired it all up, went to log in, and got this error, right? A 502, which means that the server just kind of was like,
I don't know what to do, dude. Go away.
So the first thing that I did when this happened is I went and checked the logs. So the React application talks to an API server. The API server is what returns the response on that page. So I went and looked for logs there. And when I looked at the logs, Express.js seemed to indicate that everything was okay and it returned a successful response. Now, my first thought process there is that some janky-ass shady developer wrote some sloppy code that swallowed an error and returned success anyway. And in this particular instance, I happen to know who the developer was. It was actually me. But all kidding aside, I mean, I really did write the code and I really do write sloppy code sometimes. But it just happens, you know. Sometimes you do inadvertently swallow an error that should be returned to the client. And it's not because you're a bad programmer or because the programmer you're working with is bad. It's just that writing code can be complex and sometimes things like that happen. So all kidding aside, that was my first thought process of what happened. So I went and I dug through all of the code to follow the chain of logic here. And this was where things kind of got really kind of sketchy, or where there wasn't a really clear-cut solution on how to do this. So it's running Node.js, right? My first process, or my first thought, my first instinct was to connect a debugger to it and just step debug through the code. But in this particular instance, I can't because this application runs behind a firewall. Well, actually, there's two reasons. One, this application runs behind a firewall, so I can't access it that way. The other is this is our development environment, which runs the same code for testing and sign-off before it goes to production. Now, in scenarios like that, this Docker image that we're running is going to be the exact same Docker image that gets used in production, right? Because I don't want to build a new Docker image. I don't want to sign off on one version of code or one Docker image, then build a new Docker image and send that one to production, because that new Docker image theoretically hasn't been tested and it can be different than the one that we tested in the dev environment, right? So I always promote the exact same Docker image. And since this is going to production, I don't want the Node.js debugger port exposed on production services. So that ruled out my ability to connect a debugger to it. So the next best thing was to type a bunch of console.log commands into the code and just spin up or create a testing Docker image, because I was pretty confident at this point that there was something being swallowed in the code that should be erroring. So I just put console log statements in the code to show where we were in the code, and then I could see where it actually blew up at. So I did that, and it made it all the way through without triggering an error and made it through all my console log commands. And now I know what you're thinking. You might be thinking,
But I don't know anything about writing code.
and that's okay, because what you can do in that scenario is you can work with whoever did write the code, and you can explain your thought process, explain your troubleshooting methodology to them and say, hey, I think something's being swallowed here, but I'm not really sure how to step through this. And then the two of you can work together. As a matter of fact, that's actually my preferred scenario to what I just described to you, where I'm the developer and I'm the DevOps person all rolled up into one. Because whenever there's two of you together, each leveraging your own unique areas of expertise, and you're working together on this problem, You're going to get two minds working on it. You're going to be bouncing ideas off of each other. And then you're also going to be learning from each other, growing your own skill set. So if you don't know how to code, you're going to be learning how this developer walks through and debugs their code and how they understand the flow of execution in that application. And at the same time, they're going to be learning from you how to connect to remote Docker containers and access those, or do different networking things, whatever it is you're doing to troubleshoot it from your side. So actually having multiple people on this is better in the long run because you get more brain cells working on the problem. But back to me and my problem. The code's not causing the problem, yet somehow I'm getting a 502. So at that point, I realized, or I remembered, that there is an Nginx ingress controller sitting in front of this, acting as sort of a load balancer in front of the API. And so I went and checked those logs, and sure enough, what do you know? Nginx is throwing an error. And that's what really made me think what I should have done earlier on in my troubleshooting procedure was to use something like curl to hit that API endpoint directly, because I'm willing to bet, and I didn't think about doing this till after I fixed it, but I'm willing to bet had I done that with curl, I would have seen in the response headers that the message, the 502 error message, was coming from Nginx and not from Express.js, which would have saved me, a couple of hours of troubleshooting time. But either way, Nginx was causing the problem, and the problem was the amount of data I was returning was exceeding the buffer size in Nginx. So I had to increase the buffer size on my Nginx ingress controller, applied that change, deployed it to Kubernetes, tested everything, and it works great. So I hope you found that helpful. I hope it was insightful for you in learning how to approach problems, different ways to troubleshoot, and how to work with others whenever you encounter something that you don't know how to fix on your own. Yeah, so that's all I got for you. And if you liked it, click the like button. If you didn't like it, is there? Yeah, there's a downvote button too. Click that if you didn't like it, just so I get some feedback. And yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling at this point. I feel like I should say something to close us out. Yeah. Go Cowboys. See y'all next time.